This week, we heard from Governor Bob Ferguson about preemptive plans should there be federal immigration enforcement here in Washington. But what is Congress doing about it? Here's my interview with Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. Thank you very much, Representative Jayapal, for joining us today. We know you're very busy.
Thank you for having me.
There's a lot going on. To start off, your colleague, Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, we have all seen the video. She was attacked by this person during a town hall. You yourself was hosting a town hall, right as that was happening. Right. What are your thoughts on this, and what's your reaction? And we're talking about violence here.
Yeah, no, my first reaction was horror that this happened to her. She has been subjected to so many attacks, and it is coming from the fact that the President of the United States continues to attack her and vilify her by name over and over again. And this is what happens when he does that. And so my first thought was for her safety. And, you know, we immediately had a member chat. My second was, yes, I was about to go into my own town hall where we had 700 people at Seattle Town Hall. And you know, just thinking about what this means, because obviously, you know, I've also been the subject of violent threats, and I've had to have security. And so just thinking about what that meant for me and making sure that, and I think all the members were thinking about it in that way. First, for Ilhan's safety, for the outrageous rhetoric coming out of the White House that makes us fear for her life. Right. And then, of course, for all of us that are trying to do this work.
We're going to see how that investigation shakes out. Meanwhile, earlier this week, we heard from our own governor here in Washington, Bob Ferguson, about what the state plans to do in case, sort of preemptive plans on what might happen if there is federal response in terms of immigration here in Washington. But I think we also want to know what Congress is doing when we think about DHS in particular and the funding. We know that the House passed its version of this funding bill, but right now there is a discussion among Senate Democrats over funding DHS. Where do things stand now, and what are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
so the House passed the bill, but 95% of Democrats voted against it. It would have passed even if the 7 Democrats that had voted for it had voted against, because it's just a simple majority. The Senate is where there is real leverage. And the country is so outraged by this. And Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. It's not a partisan issue. In fact, yesterday you might have seen that the King County Council passed a resolution calling unanimously, including the 2 Republicans, calling on Congress not to approve this funding for DHS without sweeping guardrails and accountability. And I think that just shows us that that's where the country is. So I think Senate Democrats have to hold strong, not just for a performative vote where they can say they voted no, but they give enough votes to pass it. They actually have to hold strong for the sweeping reforms that the country is demanding and that our constitutional rights require.
Turning to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, your Democratic colleagues are also making a push to impeach Secretary Noem. You yourself, you're among that list. What do you hope to achieve from that push?
Well, she needs to go. She can't lead. Even Republicans have said that. Senator Tom Tillis, Senator Lisa Murkowski, they all understand that this is a failure of leadership. So she needs to resign, be fired, or impeached. And we did on the Judiciary Committee. Democrats sent a letter to Jim Jordan, the chair, saying he should start impeachment proceedings right now in Judiciary. And if he doesn't, we will start our own impeachment inquiry.
That kind of goes into, you know, we heard from Senators Murkowski and Tillis earlier this morning. Republicans, do you foresee that there will be an ongoing bipartisan push to make some changes here? I mean, at this point, are lawmakers coming together in this round?
I hope so. I think so. I think this has been so outrageous what the administration has done in Minnesota. That people can't believe that there are all these U.S. citizens who are being stopped, you know, warrantless arrests, all the people that have been put into detention facilities, which is really immigrant incarceration, the deaths in detention, record high number, and the complete violation of the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. And so it does feel like this is a moment where perhaps we can get these reforms in a bipartisan way. And you are starting to see Republicans speak up. And that's kind of a first, you know, on a lot of different issues, but certainly on the issue of immigration. And frankly, it tells you how bad it is and how urgent it is that we need reforms, which is why the Senate Democrats shouldn't cave. They should really hold out for really strong reforms and get together with their Republican colleagues.
Okay. Congresswoman, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it. Thank you.